a second here. I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure who gives us the airways, but we're live with Brothers and Booze, and I'm not here with my normal host. I'm here with Art. What's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing, sir?
Thanks for filling in. For Doug, it's awesome that you're here. Because this is a subject that I know you know a lot about. So we're just gonna jump right in. We're talking gaming tonight. Usually I talk beer, but beer's behind me, and I'll have a few. But we're gonna talk gaming tonight, man. I have 4 or 5 of my gaming friends here, including you, to help me out here because I don't know as much as you guys do. But what I do know is that when I don't know anything, Art, I import it.
Nice.
Right.
Let me ask you this though. Let me ask this: like, what is your gaming system of choice right now? What do you play with the fam?
It's right here. See, look, it's close. So I do it. It's close.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
PS4. And it's Overwatch, and I love it. And once I'm off of here, I'll jump on and play a challenging game, and it'll be great. But I'm not too much into it as much as I was before kids.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Gotcha.
That's one of those things that got cut off, man.
Okay.
So anyway, the best part about the panel that's coming up is that these guys did not know each other before I put them all together. They're all my friends, but so I'm really looking forward to the dynamic between them all. So we're gonna start bringing them on one by one, and they're gonna tell us who they are, where they're from, and all that wonderful stuff, and then we'll get to that PS4 immediately. But we're gonna start with RodJ.
Oh snap! I'm first.
How you doing, Rod? Yeah, you gotta love the production here. It's not much.
I don't need that donut. Y'all can hold on to it in the green room.
Right, I just throw you out of the green room.
Right.
What's up, Rod?
What's going on?
How you doing, buddy? Tell everybody, your gaming background, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Well, this is a little bit different because a lot of people know me from the Beer Venture channel, but I have the gaming channel, RodJ Gaming, as well. And I've been gaming ever since going back to the Atari 2600 days. So gamer for life. Not sure how the hand signal goes for that one, but I am there. Been playing for a long time. So we're a long way from combat, but now I am big into mainly the PS4. Used to be big on the Microsoft story there. I know we'll get into that maybe later, why I'm not doing Microsoft anymore, but I jumped to PS4 a few years back. Actually, when I jumped to it was like PS3, and I stuck with it, and PS4, now I'm ready for the PS5.
Okay, Rod, I gotta ask you a question, man, because I grew up on the Atari 2600 too, man. You mentioned combat. Were you more the tanks, the planes, or do you love the tanks that would have like the ricochet bullets?
I did the tanks and the planes. I did like the tanks with the ricochet bullets because I knew where to go on the corner of the map where you could shoot the gun through the wall and it would bounce on the other side and it would tear your people up you were playing. So yeah. It was like pool. It was all about angles. So yeah.
That was it. That was the game there, man. And because like you had the joystick, you're trying to turn like, oh crap, it's coming. But
nope, you're done. I'm spinning.
Yep. So Rod, we can find you here, right?
You can find me there on YouTube. That's the only thing I'm kind of running the gaming one on. So no Twitter or any Facebook. Well, I do have a Facebook page. I think that I'm going to set up, but right now it's mainly just YouTube.
All right, man, that's cool. I just want to make sure we get through all this because once everybody gets on, it's going to be hopefully pandemonium, and then I'm going to forget all this stuff, and then we're just going to move on. So we're going to jump up here with my friend Matt Clark, and I'm giving him a warning that I didn't give the RJ. So what's up, Matt? How you doing?
What's going on? I'm so excited. I've been talking about this all day. I'm so excited to get on here again and talk about video games and beer.
Excellent, man. So tell us your tell us your gaming background.
So I've had a podcast with a few other friends we're in our 4th season. So, 4 years now. You can find us on Spotify there. Super fun game review podcast go. We've covered like anything from Super Nintendo on. So we do full game reviews, full spoilers. So if you see a game there that you are interested in looking at, or you just want to know the spoilers, how it ends, and what four assholes have to think about it, check it out.
Excellent. So, but that wasn't much of your background. So, like, I mean, Art and Rod went there in their background. So, where did you start?
Okay, yeah. So probably like Super Nintendo was like my first real system, and I've pretty much had everything since, with the exception of like a Nintendo 64. But everything after that, I always found a way to get the system and like try to get all the exclusives and like try to figure out like, okay, of this console, what is the like top 10 or 15 games that you absolutely have to experience, and played them.
Right. Excellent. So Art, do you have anything for Matt before we bring on our last group?
For Super Nintendo, go-to game all the time, like this is your game and no one can either beat you, or you just kept on always playing it over and over again? Do you have one?
Turtles in Time.
Yes.
Game is absolutely amazing. Like when I first got my Super Nintendo, like that was one of the first games that I got, and like I would sit and I like convinced my mom to like sit there and play it with me, and then like the one time I came home from my dad's house and I walk into my room and she's there like playing it and stuff. So like it was I have a lot of fond memories of that game.
Okay, so again, just to follow up, favorite turtle to play is who?
Leonardo.
Okay.
It was always Leonardo for me.
Nice, man. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So it's time to bring on our last fellas here. They come together like a little couple.
Dynamic duo.
Look at that. So without further ado, we're gonna have Gil and Victor on from FanDads. What's up, Victor? What's up, Gil?
What's going on? I heard you guys talk about the Atari 2600. This was the game that I grew up on playing. Kaboom on the 2600. It's a little controller. Amazing.
I think
Activision.
to answer Rod's question, I think that's the official sign for old time gamers. It's either this or this right here with the old Atari controller.
Be careful with that one though.
Yeah, that's true.
That can mean a lot of
high.
things.
That's why I put it high.
That can mean a lot. Trying to keep this
It
PG.
used to be a family show. No, I'm joking.
Exactly.
That's why you can't bring us on together.
So fandads.com, that's where you guys are from. I mean, that's your thing. You guys talk about, I call it's more like a lifestyle website for me than it's I would say a video game website. You guys got a whole bunch going on, so who wants to talk about it?
Go ahead, Vic.
All right, yeah. Let's see. FanDads, we've been running for 10 years already. We cover everything from video games, comics, movies, parenthood, but not always in that order. For me, I started like Rod with the Atari 2600. Actually, before that, my parents got us a Commodore 6400, but my dad didn't know that you had to buy. He just bought us the keyboard. He didn't know that there was more parts to it, so we ended up returning that and getting the Atari 2600. So yeah, I've been gaming with that since forever. I don't have a PS4. I'm still PS3, but now maybe we'll see what happens. I'll get the PS5. But Xbox One and 360. I'm still my Star Wars Special Edition 360 is still running, so I'm still using that, and the Xbox One, and PS3.
All right,
What's up,
everyone's talking
Phil?
about old school video games and all that. Does anybody remember like what was it? Odyssey, where it was like
Oh,
big yellow
yeah.
plastic thing. You had three
Yeah.
games: ping
Yeah.
pong, tennis, and hockey, or something, right?
We are all showing our age.
I can almost remember the commercial there too for it when it came out. Yeah, it was kids in front of the TV set.
Just like we
It
were
was a
talking about
tank
combat in the
controller.
tanks, it'd be like, boop, 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 boop. And it was like, that's all it was, man. That was all it was.
Some people-
Well, I saw someone in the chat mention ColecoVision. That brought back memories too.
Oh, sure.
ColecoVision.
Wasn't ColecoVision's claim to fame like one of them was the Ghostbusters game? Remember?
They had a Smurfs game too.
Oh, the Smurfs game too. Yeah. And then Atari 2600 had the ET game. Remember, it was like,
Oh God, I had that game.
I had that game. The whole thing was this. Ready?
Yes.
And then he'd just move, and then like he'd extend his neck and he'd fly to another screen. You're like, what? I just brought a geranium back to life, and that's the game. Like, what that's it? Like, what just happened?
That game never ended, man. There's people probably still playing it.
That's the game that is filled up in a landfill somewhere in Las Vegas, right? That they made so many of them, they lost money. Some people blame it for the demise of the Atari 2600. That's a whole episode in that. And
That was a big flop for him. Yeah.
I had it too, though. I mean, it seems like everybody had it, so I don't know how it flopped.
Yeah.
I might have gotten it when it was like the 99 cents, though. I don't know.
All right. Let's fast forward to 2020, guys.
Okay.
No television? What?
No Nintendo GameCube.
So,
What's going on here?
I'm going to start this craziness off with, obviously, what was it, about 2 weeks ago? PS5 dropped. And I just want initial thoughts, and we'll just let it run from there. Matt, you want to start?
Oh, I'm starting off. Okay. So I thought it was a pretty good initial like impressions for the console. I dug that they decided to reveal it. Kind of wanted a price point, but I like that they got all of the technical stuff out of the way. Even with like all the COVID stuff, they usually like they announce all of that stuff, real early in the year, like in February, but all of the COVID stuff started happening and then conventions got canceled and things like that. So they just kind of like put out a press release of like, hey, here's all the technical specs. It's pretty much identical to the Xbox. There's like a few minor detail differences. But I was happy to see them actually be like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of exclusives. We're still interested in indie devs, and here's what it looks like finally.
Mm-hmm. Rod?
Well, I mean, I watched the reveal when it came out. Interesting look to the PS5, though. I was kind of looking at it like kind of a little Star Trek-ish type feel or something there. I was kind of like, where are you guys going with this? And then I saw what's coming out for the Xbox from Microsoft, and I'm like, oh, that's just a box. So I guess they're trying to do something a little more stylistic with this here. So, but the specs, the smoothness of it, the one thing that I watched on the reveal that didn't wow me over as much was some of the game titles. They have a lot of the game titles that I felt were more pushed downish age-wise on some of the stuff that I probably won't play. It's kind of like a lot of PlayStation games are kind of like your older gamers where you're still enjoying that. You still have some of the young stuff, but you have more of the older. So I'm waiting to see what they do with the library. But I will say the first look at them bringing back Gran Turismo looked really good. I thought that really was some great graphics, some of the control, the paddle shift, and all that kind of stuff you had there. And then Hitman 3, I thought was actually pretty cool. I do like the Hitman series. I thought that was pretty interesting that they're looking at there. But the basketball looked pretty good. NBA 2K 21, which are going to bring out, I think, towards the holiday season. So for Christmas time, or in the fall, whenever they release it, I think it's going to be one of the earlier games out, which is good. But they had some interesting stuff. Some of the ones look like there were some Japanese type design ones that look pretty cool too, that have more of a storyline behind them. So for me, like on movies, like here when we had The Ring, like people like The Ring, like the movie, but I like Ringu, which was like the Japanese version. It seems like you're going to have some of that in some of the gaming, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice. Just quickly with Rod, the NBA game, freaking love it. And the fact that, Zion Williamson is kind of like the face of it. And they had like some sweet detail on the Air Jordan 34s that he was rocking. So gotta love that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring on Gil and Victor. What do you guys think of the PS5? Were you guys excited about like the release and all that? We heard Rod and Matt. What did you guys kind of take away from the reveal? And was there a game? I'm thinking Victor is probably excited for the same game I am, which is the Spider-Man game. That thing looked legit, but you guys talk about what you guys thought about.
I'll let Victor talk about the Miles Morales thing, but the game that stood out to me since what Rod was talking about games was Deathloop. I don't know if you guys saw that game. And for me, Bethesda rarely does bad anyway. Their games are awesome. They're solid. But Deathloop, to me, the concept looked interesting. The art design looked interesting. Because I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Art, if it was but somebody was saying how the games that they showed were kind of like aged down, maybe a little younger. So I did enjoy, like, Deathloop was one. The new Resident Evil's never been my favorite series, but that looked interesting. And then there was one, we talked about Hitman 3. That's a good series that I like. And somebody brought up, of course, Gran Turismo. There was a game that looked interesting. I think it was called Returnal.
Yeah.
It gave me a Mass Effect vibe. Like the vibe was very Mass Effect-ish. So that one looks interesting too. But right now, the one that really just like grabbed me was Deathloop. I was a little disappointed that, of course, everybody loves GTA 5, but I want something else from Rockstar. I feel like they're just milking that until, and again, more power to them. But Red Dead came out, and they kind of seems almost like they're ignoring that. But yeah, it'd be nice to see something new from them, and I'm sure we'll get there. But yeah, for me, it's all about Deathloop.
Mm-hmm. I know that, and I agree with that. What's up, Vic?
Yeah, I was excited about the Miles Morales one. Oops. But I still haven't played the other Spider-Man games, so I'm so behind. So I mean, to play both of them would be awesome for me. There was two games that stood out for me that I don't think that might have, got some people excited. One was it was called I have notes. Little Devil Inside.
Yes.
It was like the explorer and like it's his butler at home or whatever. I mean, that game, it just looked cool to me. I mean, I wanted to know more about that and what to do with that one. And then the one game that actually got me excited that I kind of jumped out of my chair was the Oddworld game that they showed. Because I loved those games when I was little, playing them on the PS1. And I think, for me, those were just like, on that system, I thought they were like really well made and like they looked like they belonged on I guess like upper tier system. But the Oddworld game to me like really stood out, and I was excited because I always loved like solving the riddles by whistling or farting or whatever you had to do, the combination. I always thought those were so fun to do. So when I saw that, I was like, yes, another Oddworld game. So yeah, that's one of those are two that like really stuck out to me.
Art, did you give your initial thoughts?
I just thought it was this cool, sleek design. I think Rob was saying that too, kind of like a Star Trek Next Generation vibe to it. I have a PS4 and an Xbox One, and I actually was really excited to play the Spider-Man game for the PS4. Really dig it. I can't wait for the Miles Morales.
Uh-oh.
The Art got froze out.
Yeah.
So he's so excited he got frozen.
Yeah. There he goes.
Kind of reminded me of like a Grindhouse. That was Deathloop. Reminded me of like a Grindhouse type of thing going on there. So I'm really looking forward to that one, man.
We were talking about the older games. They did have a throwback in there where Ratchet was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The new Ratchet game they're bringing out.
No one's mentioned it, but I was kind of hyped to see the new Horizon Dawn Zero, like Forbidden West, I think it's called. That looked. I mean, I enjoyed that series so far. I know it's only one game, but that looked promising too.
Nice.
I'm just kind of glad that that the PS5 didn't look like that concept design that they had out a while ago with that black like weird like a U over it. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I think that was supposed to be like a developer kit, right? I think was what they said. I don't know.
But when I saw that, I'm like, that's how it's gonna look. And then when they finally revealed it, I'm like, okay, it looks like a router in paper. But yeah, it's kind of cool.
Right.
They to be fair, both of the concept that was out and this both look like different companies like Wi-Fi routers. Like one looks like a Linksys and the other one looks like a Netgear. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but y'all were jumping off on. I don't know if you did it before, or I think Rod said something about Xbox being a box though. So what do we think about that? Like, I mean, does it really matter what it looks like?
I mean, it looks like my cable router. I got Spectrum, and I got that same design on my router. So if we're talking about routers, I mean, I don't know. They just came up with this boxy type thing. I mean, I could pick up my Spectrum router and it would look like an Xbox.
I guess it doesn't give you a lot of leeway.
Yeah. I mean, it might be good for space. I mean, you don't have anything sticking up the sides like the PS5, so it might be able to fit right into a little nook and cranny or something. But design is just like it's just there. It's it's a tower. I mean, it's just like a PC almost when you look at it. It's like
All right.
Yeah, so I was just wondering too, guys, for I shared like a link about the price point and all that. We saw that there was a leak earlier today on Amazon in France, like Amazon France for some reason. But what do you guys think of the price point? Wasn't it like $450 or something along those lines, like $435 for basic, and then there was like a $450 or a $465, something like. What do you guys think of the price points of that?
Well, I was thinking 5 to 6 anyway coming out the bat. So if it's going to be under 5, then that's a win in my book.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, I think they got to keep it under 5, especially like, again, it's our world now, reality, COVID, right? People aren't working, so I think that's where they're going to win it right now. I think they're going to have to price cut each other. They're going to have to, because really, I mean, obviously each console has their exclusives, right? So depending on what series you like, you're going to lean towards that. But if one is substantially less than the other one, I think that's going to be a win. I don't know if people have, an extra 5, because I don't know, we were talking earlier about the price point. If the cut is really like in the 500s for the one with the drive and $450 for the one without the drive, I'm definitely going to get the one without the drive, save $100 right there. So I think that's going to be the main. I mean, it's going to be, we'll see. Hopefully they're both, reasonably priced, but I think they're going to have to start undercutting each other.
I'll definitely get the one with the drive personally. I have some concerns about how they're going to do backwards compatibility with my physical games if I buy a digital only console. But also, like, I use mine as like a Blu-ray player too and stuff like that. So like I would want the drive functionality for it. I don't know if they'll sell like an external drive, but like I think the price is fine. I mean, I'm one of the idiots that paid $600 for a PS3. So like anything under $600, great. You have done a service to every gamer out there. If it's under $600, if you can bring this out the gate there.
You can wait. No, I need it now.
Yeah. I was like, I really want to watch like a Blu-ray movie because the first Uncharted game was out. Like there was nothing on the PS3 to buy it, and I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm a stupid kid. $600, whatever.
I'm waiting that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, what version of the PS was it? The PS3 or PS4 where someone they were waiting in line and it was in New York City, I think, in a Best Buy, and they brought it back out and they just took a hammer to it and they were like, "Hey, look what I did!" And they're like, "All right, you're an idiot. You just wasted how much money for that?" Was that the PS3 or 4? Do you remember that? Like that? Like
I think that's literally been every single game console launch since like the Super Nintendo. Like there are people beating the crap out of this stuff for years.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Xbox videos like that. People walking out just like as soon as they walk out.
It's like, what's the point? It's like, why? I'm a colossal ass. Bam! Like, cool. You gave them a bunch of extra money. Congratulations.
Another game system that my son will need.
Yeah.
And I think all of us we're talking about the big two, but no one brought up the third console everyone's talking about.
The KFC console?
KFC console.
The KFC console. I saw that today. Oh, man.
You get a 2-piece?
What is the KFC console?
I gotta say, my favorite thing about this is, like, what if it's not fake? Like, what if they were like, oh, well, like, we have a bunch of stores closed. Let's just throw a bunch of money at R&D and just create a console. It's just like, all of a sudden, like, boom, here you go. KFC giving the finger to Burger King. Because Burger King made a bunch of games for the 360 era. Like,
I remember those, yeah.
Sneak like King or whatever.
1, 2, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember if it was Arby's or KFC, but they came out with like a Street Fighter type controller with like the 6 buttons. And it was like, I think it was around $400, and it sold out like that. So you never know, man. KFC probably has something. The Colonel probably has something in development that we don't know.
Yeah.
Building with his secret sauces and all that. Spicy.
Yeah.
So I missed this. What happened? KFC came out and acted like they're having a video game.
I think it was. I don't remember. Was it Arby's?
No. The one with the 50 console was just
the console's KFC. Yeah.
The gimmick. It was like trying to steam off of the PS5 announcements and stuff. So they made this little website and everything.
The KFC console.
I'm like, if every KFC was like a GameStop, think about it.
Yeah.
There's going to be, and in the next like year or two, there's going to be a lot of empty GameStop stores.
Yes.
I don't think you get much for your returning the bones. I don't think they'll give you good credit for that.
I can't even think of the last time I went to a GameStop. Like, I don't know. I usually go if I get games like Best Buy, because I'll get that Best Buy package deal where you save like 20% off when you buy games.
Yeah.
And so that always works out nicely. But then, like the PlayStation Store, they always got the deal for PS members. Sometimes it's lower than going to Best Buy, and it's just downloaded into your system, which I do like the downloads into the system because then if anything were to happen, like if you have an actual disc, you cracked it or something, if it's in the system, you always save it. Even if you take it off your hard drive, it still gets saved. You can put it back on there if you paid for it through the store, so which is nice.
So let me ask you this, guys. I'll like, it sounds like Rod, you go to Best Buy. Do you guys are more into like getting the discs now, or is it just like all digital download? Do you guys really care? Because I think I'm like the old head that like wants the disc just in case. Like I don't know why. Like, I have a digital download. No, man, I need the actual disc. Do you guys care at all? I will start with you, and then.
Did you say start with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if it's like a collector's edition style of thing, I will totally go and buy physical. However, at this point, I don't trade games in anymore because you just get ripped off. And like I have a kid to kind of like start getting into gaming and stuff like that. So old games, like I'd rather have him play. So I'm starting to get more into digital only. It's nice to not have to switch a disc or like, oh, hey, I'm going to play this game that I had 2 years ago. I'm just going to set it up to download. I'll go do something else, come back. It'll be there and ready to play. So I'm starting to get like that. Like there are still games that I still will try to like track down a collector's edition of. Like I'm still trying to look for like a Death Stranding collector's edition with like the baby in like the pod and stuff like that. Like I want one real bad, but like random like cool stuff like that I'll have interest in, but other than that, digital all the way.
Sweet. Yo, Victor?
Digital mostly. It's just more convenient, and like I'll look for sometimes I have a Switch, so Switch I'll usually do the little game card just because they don't take a lot of space, and like Amazon usually can get good deals. But yeah, usually just digital. It's more convenient. It's right there. Like somebody mentioned, you get if you're a PS Plus member, you get better pricing. And it's just, I don't know, especially these days of COVID, right? Who wants to try to go to GameStop or Best Buy Best Buy anyway, so I just digital download. I'm
still old school. I still buy the discs. I like same thing. Like if it's a collector's edition and it's something that I want, I'll buy that. But right now, I think like the last couple of games I got were just digital downloads because I got codes for them. But like the one that I've been wanting to get, and I actually ended up buying not too long ago, was the Mortal Kombat. It was just digital, so I just downloaded that. But if it's something that I really want, like a game that I really am a big fan of, so if it's a new like game, God of War or like Uncharted or something like that, I would definitely have to get the collector's edition. And then plus, I'm always like worried if I lose like whatever I have saved on like a cloud or something. I mean, I know there's probably like a backup to a backup, but like if I lose all those games, like then I'll be pretty much like just I guess asked out. So I rather have the digital or the physical one. So I always have that disc with me. So I always have my library there in case anything ever happens like that.
Yeah, for me, I'm usually more physical, except when like we get great deals on the PlayStation Store or something like that. You can download like I've been wanting to play for a while, Ark Survival. Never got around to it. And last week, like deal of the week was Ark Survival for $9.99. Oh, digital! Just drop that baby right down so I can play that stuff. So, but most of the time it's physical. But like someone mentioned, with the days of COVID and stuff, do you really want to run out to the store or something? Although the cool thing about Best Buy is you can go online now and you just order it online and they put it in your store. You just come right in and pick it up at the pickup counter. You don't have to go anywhere through it and just right back out, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we got a chat question here. How's the connectivity portion of PS5? Anything stand out to you guys there?
That's my friend Vanessa too. Hey, Vanessa.
All right, so you answer. No.
Well, I mean, it's not. We haven't got it out yet, so I haven't read anything on the connectivity, so I haven't been able to see it. But like the PS4, they usually have pretty good stuff with their stuff. So I'm thinking with Sony, you should have good connectivity with PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm. Got it right.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything like super crazy. I'm assuming that the networking features will cover like the 2.5 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz for Wi-Fi. Personally, I play games online, so it's Ethernet or nothing because I don't want lag. There's going to be the new whatever the newest version of Bluetooth is. But they're still allowing for the headphone jack in the controllers, which I thought is awesome. Me personally, this is going to sound super blasphemous. I'm a single earphone and listen through my TV person. I'm not a all surround sound headset guy. I'm not that guy. I have really sensitive ears and I can't do it. So like, I love that the jack is still there on the controller, so I can still enjoy that version of the headphones and being able to communicate and things like that. There's also a microphone in the controller, which I thought was kind of weird, but they haven't really gone into why yet. I'm assuming voice commands, which would be kind of cool.
Well, if you have the microphone in the controller and you've got just a regular earpiece, you won't need the headset with the mic on, I guess.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, yeah, like if I can just use that as an actual although my chats are kind of ridiculous and I don't want anyone else to hear like what my friends are yelling at me while I'm like screwing up in a game, so
may not be kid appropriate.
Yeah. There's tiny and old ears here, so I can't be dealing with that.
So Victor, you got to call out here in the comments.
Yeah, I saw it, but I have it on Xbox, so unless they do like cross-platform, then I'll just have to go over to his house and play.
Right.
Speaking of cross-platform, I gotta admit, the freaking Call of Duty is awesome having it against Xbox and computer people.
Yep.
Speak on that, Rod. Rod, speak on that.
Yeah, so the Call of Duty Modern Warfare was the first cross-platform one, I guess, that they came out with. So we actually, the crew I usually play with, so I'm on the PS4. I got friends. You always had the thing where, well, why didn't you get the PlayStation or why didn't you get the Microsoft? Well, I got friends that played on Microsoft and I got friends that played on the PC, and you're able to link all together across the platforms connected through your Activision ID, which is awesome. So that brought a whole new experience that you can actually play with other people in other systems, and hopefully other companies will start to actually build this into their stuff as well, because I think that's what's helping like Modern Warfare really get as much action as it's getting right now. So much fun is happening between all different people playing together.
What is there a gaming franchise that we haven't seen through the? I mean, I know we're just still kind of just bringing out a few of the trailers, but is there a gaming franchise, or is there a new system or a new game, maybe through comic books, whatever the case may be, that you guys love to see? Rob, we can start with you, and then we can go kind of through the list.
That I would love to see come out with. Yeah. I've been so much more into a lot of the shooters. I'm trying to think of anything. Now, I would say one that actually fell off for me over the years has been Madden. I haven't played Madden in so long. I used to be a big Madden person, and it seems like they just kind of let that go to the wayside. It got horrible once they got the only license for the NFL, I thought, because it took away all the competition and you had to just settle with it. Back in the day when we had, Sega, you had the other systems, and they had one person had John Elway football, someone had NBA, NFL 2K, someone else had this and that, and Madden. You had to all keep your stuff up, right? But now you're not reduced to one. But as far as something new coming out, I would say I'll be interested to see on the PS5 if they come out with a new Fallout series, because with the power they have behind that should be an awesome gameplay to check out, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I think Madden kind of lost me when you were like, I forgot what year, but they were saying like, oh, you can, do the price. You can check out the prices for the concessions and all this other stuff. And like,
oh yeah,
who cares? I don't care. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can't wait to download this extra pack so I can like put $5 for a hot dog instead of $4.50. Who wants to do that? We're playing Madden. It's like Hot Dog Tycoon. Like, I'm not playing that game, right? Like, what the hell?
Right. They literally took the fun out of Madden when they were doing a lot of that stuff.
Whatever
Yeah.
Facebook user this is,
I
true.
agree totally.
Very
That was
true.
a game I used to love playing.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
2K, yeah.
Oh shit.
Of course, we got old school Tecmo Bowl too. They give them a shout out.
Oh,
Tecmo Bowl was a classic. No, you can't have Bo Jackson.
NFL Blitz, all that stuff, man. NFL Blitz was great. Just, oh man, love those games.
I'm in camp. Bring back Skate.
Oh,
Like I know they're remaking like Tony Hawk 1 and 2. That's cool. Love those games, but like the Skate games are just on another level of just like kind of like simulation skateboarding, and like the controls were just completely on point. Like that's what I want. I want EA to resurrect that for this generation, because we haven't gotten one for the PS4 or anything like that. The best you can do is backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. It's the only way to play that right now on a current gen. You can't even play it on PC. It's awful. It sucks.
bring it back.
It's the only, for real, it's the only reason that I bought an Xbox One. It's been sitting collecting dust right now in a box, but it's I will pull that out and play some of my older 360 games, because my 360 died, but
Okay.
that's the real reason I own one.
Gil
All
and
right,
Victor
you're
answered
jumping
the
off.
question, and then I want to ask a question in regards to what Matt just said, because I think we've all done something. What he just did is and I think it's spot on as a gamer. So Gil, go ahead.
Well,
man.
it's funny that you guys went like with Madden, because I thought Madden's lost it for a long time now too. So the games that I want to come back are sports, NCAA football. I still love NCAA football, and Fight Night. We need a boxing game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boxing game, man. Fight Night Champions maybe was the last one. It's been like 10 years, I think. We need a boxing game, and we need NCAA back. And now that the athletes are getting paid, right? So maybe they can work something out, because those were I still love taking like Northern Illinois University, where I went to. It's like a ranked crap school, and get them to the national.
Huskies, right? Northern Illinois.
That was the best. I'm sorry.
Were they Huskies, Northern Illinois?
Huskies,
Yeah.
yep.
And
Tony Romo went there, right?
Say it again.
Tony Romo played there. Or
No,
am I
Rome
totally
went
off?
to Eastern, I think.
Eastern. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's gonna take me a little bit after a while, but yeah. But no, I loved it, and I think there was a version of NCAA even back in the day where you could make your high school, right? Make your guy in high school, get him into your college, play 4 years, and then you could draft him into Madden. And this
Right.
was a decade ago. Why can't they do that anymore?
I think they can still do it on. I think that was NCAA 10, I believe, because I think I have that for the PS3, and I could take it. I have the Madden for 10. I could take him, get him into that as well. Yeah.
10 years ago, and they can't do that anymore. I mean, I don't know. Those were fun to me, and stuff, a boxing game. I know you can get a little boxing action in the UFC game, but it's not the same.
Such a great.
No, it's not the same at all.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I love the Fight Night games. They were just incredible. Like the adaptive sticks, like where you could be like, oh, like throwing jabs and stuff all with the right stick. Like that stuff was just almost like, I guess, before its time, because it didn't catch on, which really sucks. But that was like prime boxing. And again, like you were saying, they haven't done anything for this generation to bring back boxing at all. There's a bunch of UFC games, but like they're fun, but also boxing is just a little more intricate with the striking.
Victor, what about you, man?
Gil took my answer of the fighting game. But I think it was because we were talking about that last week too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely another Fight Night game would be awesome. To me, there's a couple like games in mind that I think would be kind of cool if they brought them back, or at least with the newer systems. One would be kind of like a new X-Men co-op game. Would be dope to have. Just because I don't think we really had that many, like either if it's couch co-op or just something online, that would be dope to have, especially with all the new characters, or just to use all the new characters, or even use like the characters from the movies. I think that would be fun to do. There's a game that I played for hours when I was younger with my friends on the Genesis. It was a real-time strategy game called Herzog's Wii. I don't know if anyone remembers that one, but I mean, if they were to redo that again, I mean, I know I would buy it on day one and probably just never come out the house playing that game, because that game was just awesome to me. I mean, it was like the first time I ever played something like that. It was just we would play to the point where it was just like a stalemate, and then we're like, all right, let's start over again, and then we'll keep playing again, and it was the same thing. And then another game that I'm thinking about is one from like the Master System, Zillion. Do you guys remember that game? No, from like the Sega Master System. That was like, it was like based on an anime. But I think it'll be kind of cool if that comes out, because I mean, PlayStation always has a whole bunch of like anime games, based games. So to have something like that would be kind of cool to see if they do an update on that.
Nice.
I think Greg was talking about he wanted Leisure Suit Larry back.
Oh my goodness! There you go.
Will he still be wearing a leisure suit, or be like tracksuit Larry now?
I don't know.
Might as well bring back Beer Tapper then too.
Matt brought up a really good point about getting a system just because of the game. For me, it was Sega Genesis, because Mortal Kombat had the blood, right? And then I traded that in stupidly for a PS1. And then I really wanted Knights of the Old Republic, so then I got Xbox, and I was just like, forget that. Have you guys gotten a system just because of a game? Matt will go. You just mentioned that, but are there any other games? Then we'll go to Gil, Victor, and then we'll finish off with Rod.
Yeah. So I got a GameCube for Skies of Arcadia, which is the only way to play that RPG. It was like Sky Pirates and shit. It was really awesome. I got a Sega Game Gear for Mortal Kombat because I had a Super Nintendo, and I got the Game Gear so that I could have blood in Mortal Kombat. Like the same reason, but it was very important. Mortal Kombat 2
sweat comes out, right? You don't want to be punching like, oh look, sweat comes out.
Yeah. It's just not as fulfilling, I guess. It's a weird thing, but there's definitely, I mean, that's kind of honestly like why I stick with PlayStation now is just they have all of these exclusives that you can't play anywhere else, and to me that's why PlayStation gets my money, and why Xbox now, with all of their first party stuff available to PC, it makes it too easy.
Nice.
Oh man, I saw someone in chat just say Jet Set Radio or Jet Grind Radio. That game is fantastic. Jet Set Radio Future needs a sequel. 100%.
That dude is all about video games. That dude's got a straight up passion for Street Fighter. Follow him. Like their website is 8-Bit Dad, and then Z Rosenberg on like different like Instagram and stuff like that.
We gotta get him on here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that dude is a legit gamer. Like he's got vinyl of Street Fighter tracks, man. And then
that's amazing.
Like for me, for Mortal Kombat is his love for Street Fighter, and like he had like this vinyl for Mortal Kombat. I'm like, Zach, you're killing me, man. But like that dude is legit. So yeah, Zach is in the game.
Yeah, I was just thinking Crazy Tax, and he mentioned it in there. So yeah,
he's reading your mind. That's what he's doing.
He's a big Dreamcast. I actually missed my Dream. I had my Dreamcast up to about 8-9 years ago, I think. And I put it on eBay, and I sold it to a guy in Canada who wanted to get one. And I did it. I was just like, I'm not using it. I'll sell it. And then, like, you start getting that withdrawal a couple years later. I need to go back and play so-and-so. I don't have it anymore. That's right. So
withdrawal.
It's not in the basement anymore. What more? Asking the wife, where'd you do my Dreamcast? You don't have it anymore. But like Gil and Vic answer.
Yeah, Gil. I'm sorry, Gil, did you ever buy a console for the game? For a game?
Yeah, I bought a PSP just for the Uncharted game that they came out with. That's how big of a fan of Uncharted I was. I didn't have one. I didn't have I think the only handheld system before that I ever had was the Game Boy, and like I'm like but yeah. So when they announced the Uncharted game for PSP, I was like, all right, let me get one of these. So then that's like about it. I've had it for a while, and then I bought a whole bunch of the games, and after a while, I just sat there, and then I ended up trading it in.
So and shout out to Doug, right? I bought Xbox for Halo, and I think a lot of people probably did that. Like Halo was the one that was the must buy or for Halo. And I think, and I can't be 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure I bought the 3DO Blast from the Past for that Wing Commander game with Luke Skywalker, right? Wasn't he the star of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That's 3DO.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer, man. I had the 3DO. I had every crap system you could get.
Wow.
I
I definitely bought the PS4 for GTA 5. Without a doubt. No question. That's what I played GTA 5 until like a year ago, and then I started playing Overwatch, and that's all I play. I play like 3 games. I downloaded all these games. My kids gave me games. My family gave me a Switch. They gave me Zelda, which is I love that shit, and I haven't played it. I'm just a one guy, one video game at one time in my life. It's really bizarre, and I don't like. It's really bizarre coming from a guy who can't drink more than one beer, like 8 ounces of more than one beer at a time, and I want to move on to the next one. I just get hooked on a game, and I just don't move off of it. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but I mean, it goes years with me. It's bizarre. It is bizarre because there's so many great games out there. Like you guys just went down a litany of like wonderful games that like just is going to come out on the on the PS5 this year. Like I didn't even talk about the old school games you guys talking about and all this, and I'm just like over here with one game. It's really psychotic. Anyway, Art, do you have a question?
Do I have a question? No, I'm good, man. Go ahead.
No, I said what I didn't say. I said what I didn't say. Anybody want to jump in?
No, I was going to say on my part, I guess that it was funny. It's funny PSP got mentioned because PSP I did buy because I just wanted Madden on the go because that's when I was back big into Madden and they came out with the Madden version. But it's funny, the PlayStation itself when I got it, it wasn't because it was because of Madden there, but I'm thinking to go back to the Genesis. I got the Genesis system. Madden came out on that later, but before that, it was Joe Montana talking football. And that's what I had to have. Pat Summerall making the calls during the game. And I said, I got to get this thing. I was big into football. Thanksgiving, it was Madden, it was Summerall on the TV. And it was the first talking football game. So I had to get that one. So that's what got me into the Genesis. And plus the Genesis had more of the adult, let's say more of the late teen or adult type titles because they went with the whole, we're like crazy out of the box type thing versus the other kid stuff. So
yeah. Nice.
Joe Montana was
it.
I love that game. I used to play with my cousin like hardcore. We used to play that game. And I don't know if you remember one of the cutscenes, we would call them the drunk guys. Like quarters or something, they would just be like this. Oh my god, we would go nuts for it. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm trying to look up. I can't find an image online of it. It was the drunk guys, and like as you played that game, you know what I'm talking about. Like between quarters, they'd show the screen. It was just two guys like this.
That was the Brothers and Booze segment right there.
Brought to you by the Brothers and Booze.
I would say Joe Montana was the one game we played with buddies at. You're playing and you're like, oh, is that the sun coming up? Like you would play it all night long on that one. That was one of the games. But then when they did bring out those early Madden versions and you put somebody out and the ambulance came and got the guy off the field, that's what made that game fun at that point. You wanted to come out. It was almost good as going back to the Commodore 64 and Dr. J. Larry Bird breaking the glass. It was like you wanted the ambulance to come running out to get that guy. And hockey was the same way. Hockey, you knocked somebody out of that game back in the early NHL. Yeah.
You make that
Like
head bleed in the
like bounty gate where you're like, all right, you know what? You're a backup, but if you get this ambulance to show up and take this dude out, you're a starter. You're getting the start.
Right.
Was it like NFL Quarterback Club, or maybe it was like the early edition of Madden for like Super Nintendo, where it'd come out and be like this cheesy siren, and then it'd like run over players. You'd be like,
run over. Yeah, that was like their own saying, and you have a little bit of blood to the side where they're like, yeah, that's good.
I think you need to bring a couple more ambulances for the one that the ambulance just ran over. You got to bring some more out, right?
Oh, that was a highlight of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone played any of the Mutant League Football? There's like a new version of it as well. It's incredible. Like it's just it's so like nostalgia filled to the original, and it's with like modern rosters. So they'll like they'll like just like change the names and stuff. Like I'm a
Patrick,
Bears fan.
Instead of Bones Jackson, was it Patrick Mabones?
Yeah. So like there was like I'm a Bears fan, so it was like Stitchell Trusisky. Like it was just like really weird, like, you know, try to be like horror. Like it's great. It's so fantastic. It's like $20 on like the Switch. I think you can get it on like PS4 and stuff too. Like it's such a great little like throwback game.
They need a bunch of dads to like do the names for all those players. That'd be great.
Right.
Dad joke. That's awesome, man. I'm gonna check that out. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So,
I was like reading through like the lists, and I was just like, oh man, that's really funny. Oh man, that's really funny. I'm a dad. That's right. It's like, oh, that's just right here, just right here.
anybody have the Sony Vita?
I do.
That's the system that I was meant to say, not PSP. The Vita was the one that I got for Uncharted. It's that dad brain. I can't remember the game systems that I used to have, but yeah.
So the Sony Vita was before the PSP?
That was the after PSP.
After. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, actually, for my podcast, anytime I have to play like a PS1 game that I can't just like, you know, spend $150 on like a classic like physical edition of something, I'll see if it's digital and then I'll actually just play it on my Vita. It's great. I just wrapped up playing Legend of Dragoon on my Vita. Nice. So that's like one thing that's like really nice about that system.
I love that, just kind of going with like old school like handhelds. I love that one where like kids these days have no idea the struggle it was when you were playing on a Game Boy at night in the car where you had to wait for like a street lamp.
It's very true. It's so true.
Pause, unpause, play.
Did they come out with like an accessory kit later that had a lamp?
Yeah. And it never really worked.
Like an Inspector Gadget comes out of his head and like, there you go, here's the lamp.
Here's a question for you guys. Did any of you guys ever have, back when it was the Sega Genesis, the port that you could play online against other people in other cities?
No.
Sega Channel.
I don't know what was the channel, but you plugged it into the Genesis.
Yeah.
And I played with other people from other states back then. It was like crazy. It was like the old dial-up system, but if other people had it, you could play across state lines. It was really the first multi-gaming across, you know, the country or whatever you could use.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the Dreamcast, for example, was like so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It was one of the first systems to have like, you know, the built-in Ethernet port and things like that. And just it died, but now if you tried to trot out a system without an Ethernet port, everyone would be like, I'm not buying that. Like, no, thank you. Like, I'm good. People were skeptical about the Switch because you couldn't, you know, hardwire it. Like, it's crazy.
Speaking of the Dreamcast, Star Wars Jedi Power Battles was fantastic.
Power Stone's like an incredible Dreamcast title.
Yeah.
Just they never did anything with it. Like, bring that back.
Yeah.
Sega, you don't make consoles anymore. Pick your favorite and just put a game out.
Yeah, but I'll echo what someone said earlier kind of in the chat, that if you look at any of the consoles and overall, if you're a sports gamer and overall suite of sports games, I think Dreamcast had the best out of all of them.
Yeah, I remember playing a lot of Madden on there. I think one of my favorite moments, I'm pretty sure it was on the Dreamcast, was because they used to like rank people. Like I beat the person I was ranked like number 3, and I was so happy. So yeah, no, I remember Dreamcast. That's probably the first console that at least I remember going, you know, Wi-Fi or internet, like playing people over the internet on.
Cool.
The Dreamcast, definitely ahead of its time. Also, that little thing that it had in the controller, right, where you could pop out the screen.
Yeah.
Somebody else could, that was ahead of its time too. I mean, yeah, props to the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Man. Y'all video game geeks. Shit. I don't know what
I wear that proudly.
I didn't know what I was
wear
getting
that
into.
proudly.
Hell, now you get scholarships for it. I mean, if I'd have been born in another era, you know.
Right.
Yeah, during the pandemic, you know, it's like people are playing like, what was it? NBA stars are playing some esports stars now, and they're like going back and forth. And it's like when someone is beating you with your own digital self, you're like, I must admit, I don't know, maybe my life isn't that great now. I gotta fix things. I gotta go rethink my life right now.
Right. So obviously during the pandemic, the gaming has gone up, right? We played more.
Oh yeah.
I guess depends. I haven't really played. I was already working from home before it actually happened for the most part, so nothing really changed too much on my daily routine. But
yeah,
I still get it in when I can. I don't get in as much as I would like to, just because life and everything. So but when I get it in, I like to have some fun with it. But like you were saying, Greg, it's kind of like I've got all these games here, but I can't get away from them all. Like I was, we'll go here. I'm going to play, Ark, or I'm going to go ahead and play, one of the other games. No, damn it, I need to go back and play some Modern Warfare because I want to go out here and rank my guy up or whatever. So it's kind of like you only have so much time in the day. It's like I haven't finished The Last of Us, which I like. I just haven't finished it because I haven't had time to get back into it. So
I'm doing a replay of it right now just because the new one's about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
It is eerie how, like, because of the world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
Different kind of like everything's different in it now. Quarantine zone, huh? Like it just makes you kind of, and just I don't know. It hits a little harder. It seems like, and it seems like a little like okay, this is almost too close to. But yeah, I'm trying to pick it up again before the new one comes out. That's one I'm excited about.
You get more depressed after playing the game, like
yeah. That doesn't work. We had those trials. That won't work. Does anybody else play like the shooter games? By the way,
say it again.
Shooter games like Modern Warfare. And all that. So one of the weirder ones that I've started playing. I haven't played as much lately, but I do enjoy is World War Z. I don't know if you guys have played that. It's interesting because you're playing deathmatch against other people, and like in the middle, they sign a horn, and the zombies just unleash on both teams.
Oof.
So you're fighting the other people, then you're fighting the zombies, then you're fighting the other people, then you're fighting the zombies, and it's all during like death matches, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that sounds like Left 4 Dead from back in the day.
Yeah, that was fun.
I played a ton of that. Like I was actually like in like the MLG's like they have like an amateur league on like I think it's like Battlegrounds or something like that. I was on a ranked team, like we were like top 5 in the country of amateurs for Left 4 Dead, and it sounds exactly like that. Like, oh man,
yeah, but those World War Z ones, they move quick too, just like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, fellas, it's been fun. And I've learned a lot. You guys taught me a lot of shit. Serious, man, serious. I'm not sure I want the PS5 yet. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard. We didn't really get into GTA 5, so I guess there's not. I mean, or GTA 6 or what's going on with that. Like for me, you're gonna have they're gonna have to. There's gonna have to be a game for me to go there. I'm happy with my PS5 and I'll roll with that. I'm sorry, PS4, and I'll roll with that. But it's going to be interesting. I want to have you guys back. I want to talk old school video games for the whole show because, man.
Double Dragon, baby.
Yes. I thought you were going to say Double Dribble.
You guys hijacked my PS5 check. Hijacked it.
All Age of Steel.
All of you. And it was great. Don't get me wrong. It was fantastic. But I was like, damn, could be a whole 2-hour show. We can just talk about old school games. I could even jump in. That'd be great, man. And I also want to have you back too, because I know Rod, he already talked about it tonight. I want to have you back during the Christmas season, and I want to hear what you guys talk about the deals, and I want to know where the deals are, what you guys, because we'll have the value of the boxes then too. So we can be like, what do you guys think the value of it is? If I'm going to jump in, what if I want to buy my kids one? I know Rod looks for all the deals. So Rod knows about deals about beer too. Listen to this man. So I want to have you guys back a couple times. I just want to thank you guys for jumping in here and entertaining me for at least an hour.
You got one Facebook user saying, "Don't go."
Yeah.
Right. That's what it's all about. My amusement here, of course. But look, don't go, no. So, asteroids. Yes.
You knew you were messed up once you start moving that ship around. You're like, crap, I'm dead.
You
Yeah.
talk asteroids, you gotta go to Gallagher though.
It was like right.
Space invaders, you're shooting your own shield. You're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what's
Missile
going on?
command, missiles right now. Don't hit my base.
So we if you guys didn't this will replay on Twitter, all kinds of other places. If you guys missed it, guys, Art, you're the only one that didn't say where you're from and what you do.
It's all good. I'm around. Find me. No. Thanks. Art Eddy 3 on Twitter, Art Eddy LOD on Instagram, Art of Fatherhood on Instagram, and artoffatherhood.net. You can check me out there. Thanks.
Yeah, it's this thing. I like your Kirk Cousins interview.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
That was good, man. That was good. I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan, but football, guys, on the football field, he's but he's a good father, man. It's a good story. I love it. Anyway, I want to thank you guys again. Everybody say bye because we're all leaving at once.
Bye, everybody.